Speaking of centering, will you take a breath with me? Let's take a breath together. Release and relax. So I want to acknowledge first and foremost the source of life that allows us to co-create together in this moment, allowing us to remember joy, peace, love, to experience wonder, to be reminded of the gifts of forgiveness, of giving and receiving. We give thanks for this wonderful community, Unity North. Its wonderful leader, Richard Birding. We give thanks for the growth, the expansion, the connection, and the love of this community. We give thanks for the generosity and the abundance demonstrated here. Deep breath in. Release. And may we be reminded through these simple words of the frequencies and the vibrations that the source of life is allowing us to choose, seeking to choose through us, in us, and as us. Ashe Aho, Amen. So I'm grateful to be with you once again, to share in this. It's so crazy how remarkable this community has been for us. I don't always think about it, but the fact that my last album was recorded here is just one of the many blessings. My introduction to Unity was here. It's actually, if you remember, Reverend Dixie, a long time ago, used to have the youth ministry. She invited me to Unity North. I don't think I'd ever been to a Unity before. So now that I'm thinking about it, this was the first Unity I've ever come to as well. So that's a wonderful recognition. I feel like there are a lot of recognitions and realizations I've been having lately. I hope you've been experiencing that too. What I understand is Mercury retrograde, which some of us celebrate and some of us can't stand, is this opportunity. It brings more than just an opportunity to go through technical challenges and communication hiccups. It also brings an opportunity to revisit. Any word with like remember, realize, recognize, revitalize, re-energize. My understanding is it brings us that opportunity. So I'm going to invite you to step into that opportunity as we talk about the way forward. And you may know the title already of this talk, but it's a simple realization, I'll say, that I'm inviting you into. The way forward is you. Now, during the holidays, I grew up hearing the phrase, Jesus is the answer for all the world today. That's a song, gospel song. I believe it might be Andre Crouch. Don't take my word for that, though. But what I've been tuning into lately and hearing from that same source that I believe Yeshua ben Joseph, where Jesus was leading us to, is that we are the answer. You are the answer. And perhaps he was the demonstration. So, with many opportunities to see challenges in the world, the way forward is you. You are the one who decides whether to see opportunity or threat, like in the case of Mercury retrograde. You are the one who decides whether to align or resist, whether to accept or reject, suffer or transcend. The question for those who desire to leave suffering behind is how? How do we leave suffering behind? And the way forward is you simply means The way forward is knowing the truth of who you are and claiming your birthright based on that truth. We talk about this in Unity often, that who you truly are is much more than your name, your story, the life you've lived in this timeline. And it's more than just the mediocre norm that separation would have you believe. That subjection to ideas of limitation, fear, and disempowerment. Those thoughts of a world that is powerless to choose differently. No. You are the very answer to that which you seek. The story of transformation I've been blessed to experience, my wife has been a catalyst in and a witness in. She will tell you the one thing that I do know most about transformation is my own journey, my own experience of forgiveness, of acceptance, of learning to navigate the ups and the downs, the challenges, and learning to break through and overcome. Learning to turn what felt like tragedy into victory. And learning to see perfection. I feel inauthentic when I'm attempting to bring something through that's not already there. So I'm going to share what I feel. What I feel is this sense of collective consciousness that is seeking to be held, accepted as it is. Seeking to be recognized and held in this time of challenge with presence, allowed to be exactly as it's showing up, and recognized as perfect, and not manipulated or changed or shifted, but accepted. And that's the path to joy. That's the path to peace. That's the path to all we desire, yet we can't circumnavigate what's here now, right? That's the lesson I've been learning through my own journey of transformation. Sometimes you hit this ceiling where you're doing the practices, doing the work, affirming our oneness, really looking at the principles and recognizing the 12 powers, activating my zeal, my faith, my love, and hitting a ceiling that you can't seem to get past. Remember recently activating gratitude. Every day I'm committed to discipline and getting up and doing my practice, aligning my meditation, my journal, my gratitude, listening to Source, and taking that momentum and taking it into the rest of my day and hitting challenges, and then wondering, why can't I seem to get out of this funk? I'm doing everything. Why can't I move past this challenge I seem to have spiraled down into? I gave a talk, last week in North Carolina. And after the talk, I remember feeling like I wasn't present enough. You know, like, man, I forgot to do my intention beforehand and forgot to open up with the recognition, the source, and I didn't feel as present as I wanted to. And man, I just spiraled down into this feeling of, okay, I need to change, help, let me get aligned, let me get out of this. And for the next 76 hours, I was struggling. It's like, why? Why is this little seed causing such suffering? Why am I choosing such suffering? Luckily, I have a coach. I've got a wonderful coach in what I call genius, Source. And I go to Source and I tune in and I ask questions. And Source lets me know, this is connected to disappointment. Around the holidays, you go through this cycle. Of course, my wife already recognized that and had mentioned it. So I got this other coach too. Takes flesh. But this knowing, not to go on a tangent, but that's an interesting point in and of itself, that often we can hear the things we need to hear from others to get us ready to know it for ourselves, right? They can plant the seeds, but the knowing makes it grow. And suddenly we own it. So I finally heard, okay, this pattern is connected to disappointment around the holidays. And you often have this occur and come up. And I thought, okay, it's connected to my father. Grew up without a father. Holidays, I used to really wish he was there. I've done a lot of work on that already, though, right? Forgiven and see the perfection in it and all of that. I'm like, okay, maybe it's connected to that again and what have you. And I'm hearing, bring this up with your other coach. Kathy? No, the other coach. The other coach is a therapist. So I work with this amazing therapist who uses the very things that I receive and hear as far as our imagination, as far as vibration and frequency, as far as genius, helps me navigate it. He's like, go to the coach, take it to him. So took it to him. We did the work. Long story short, turned out it was about my grandfather. Had no clue. All of a sudden, my grandfather pops in, big as day. I'm just like, whoa, what you doing here, Grandpa? Man, he smiled, got to see his energy, and I just cried like a baby. I never realized he died in December, the same month a cousin committed suicide, the same month a cousin got killed, and the same month we got robbed. Our house got broken into and all our stuff got taken. Well, let me not exaggerate. The stuff that I thought was important got taken. And during that time, I remember I was about 16. I went into a 3-month depression, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I didn't associate this cycle with that. You would think that's obvious. What's up, Jolie? You would think that's obvious, right? That's our daughter, by the way. Give her a hand. She deserves a hand. Good to see you, Joe. So you think something like that would be obvious, right? Like, okay, you were 16, you didn't deal with that properly, but it just wasn't. I didn't recognize that was it. And when it came up, it was so healing. And I'd been doing everything I could to activate gratitude, activate joy, and I could feel something in the way, and I couldn't move out of it because it wanted to be seen. And through that wonderful process, I was able to recognize the place my grandfather held in my life. He was my father figure. At 16, he was the only, I'm named after him, actually. I'm the fourth. John Hamilton Stringer the fourth. Son's named the fifth, so his dad was the original. And I looked up to him so much, and should I reveal this? Yes, some of you may already know. If you ever see me on social media, I'm a big cigar fan. I get that from him. He was a big cigar fan. I never, some of these things were coming up. It was so healing. Why do I say that? Because we've heard of terms like spiritual bypass. We've heard of terms like, I used it before, to circumnavigate certain emotions where we feel like they're not important or we've got to suppress them. everything is for us. What I realized is in transformation, when we're listening to our bodies, when we're listening to our emotions, they are the indicators that expanding our awareness to those areas is an opportunity. These are ready to be seen, heard, and felt, and sometimes we need help exploring them. I did all my practices. I've spent the last 17 years helping others spiritually, through spiritual guidance, through meditation, through intuition, and I still need help. I'm not supposed to be an island and do it all myself, right? Yeah. So some of us recognize that easily. I think it's the people, well, I won't even assume. I don't know what it is. I'll talk about myself, and maybe you can relate. For some reason, when we're really determined and driven, those of us who are like that, if you're determined and driven and want to do your best and want to strive for, excellence and all this other stuff, can often forget the importance of community, the importance of getting help. And I recognize it in sports the most. I go to the gym, I hope you can tell. Put on a little weight, lost a little weight, but it's all good. To hit that breakthrough, when we hit that barrier in working out, they call it your max. Like if you've ever done a dumbbell, right? My max used to be around 35 pounds, and I used to be proud of that. That was like high school. And I won't say what I'm up to now, but exceeded that, thank goodness. And I got a coach to help me do it, right? There's an exercise called the bench press, when you're laying down and you get the bar and you bring it down to your chest and you push it up. So when you hit your max on a exercise like that, that means that's the maximum you can handle, right? There's actually a benefit in using max weight. But you don't do it alone. At least the pros. You get what's called a spotter to spot you. So that if you hit muscle fatigue, that's what you're going for. You're going for muscle fatigue so that the resistance creates a breakdown that initiates growth. And then you go into a cycle of rest and giving yourself nutrition to grow the muscle. That's how growth happens. Two things to learn from that. Without resistance, there is no growth. Secondly, if you want to hit maximum growth and go beyond your barrier, you need a spotter. You need a coach, someone to be there to assist so you can focus on giving your best until you don't have anything left. And you hit that breakthrough point or breakdown point, but I'm going to call it breakthrough point. That initiates the growth. So for me, transformation has come step by step, recognizing my own challenges, my own patterns, having a mirror like Kathy to be like, I see this thing happening when I'm not recognizing it. Kind of like if you got something in your hair and you can't see it, baby, you've got something in your hair. And listening, being open to that process and getting the help you need. Lucky for me, I was listening to the I am in the inner knowing, and it told me I needed to get help. And that help has allowed me to do what that movie, I think it's called In and Out, shows, to really recognize the emotions for the important part they play. Inside Out, thank you. See, Kathy's on it, man. She's on it. Inside Out. I hadn't seen that movie. It's an animated family movie. Check it out. So, through these processes, what I've learned is it has helped me tune in, navigate the emotions, and use them as ingredients, use my life story as ingredients to begin to see the perfection of this amazing plot, like a movie in and of itself, this amazing soul's blueprint that each of us have, something that we came to do in the world. Something that when we tune in and we hear, we may think our best days are done. But when we listen, if we have breath, your best days are not done. When we tune in and listen, we start to hear that guidance that tells us, okay, go get help, or okay, apply this, or okay, stop doing this and do this instead. Sometimes we ignore it. I kept hearing, change your diet, make it more 80% plant-based. I kept hearing that for years. Didn't consistently do it, would kind of procrastinate, do it for a week and flip off and like, I don't know why I'm hearing this, but baby, we need to do blah, blah, blah. Then I forget about it. Wouldn't you know, over Thanksgiving, I end up with an ulcer. Doctor tells me, okay, you got to stop eating this, and this. Eat plant-based, just like my knowing has been telling me that. What if I would have put that into practice then? Well, guess what? The body made it very clear. Okay, you're not going to listen to the inner knowing? How about this physical pain? Now listen to the doctor and apply what we've been telling you from the jump. So yeah, I procrastinated. It's okay. I got to learn the hard way. So we can either learn the hard way or use our practices to learn the highway. Right? How many of you would prefer to learn the highway? Raise your hand. Me too. See, the highway allows you to transcend the suffering, where you're actually listening to that intuitive knowing. You're actually listening and following through and trusting it instead of delaying it so you don't have to have your attention gotten in a more loud and aggressive way, let's just say. Not for anything to harm or punish you, but for your good. The pain was telling me, bro, you are going too far. You have run off the rails with this stuff. It's time to change the diet and get in alignment with what your inner knowing and your body knows it needs. So I'm grateful for that lesson. I'm grateful for that transformation. And I'm grateful I've stopped being conceited in my suffering. I actually heard that online from someone whose grandmama told them, stop being conceited in your sin, right? In New Thought, we recognize sin is misperception. It's misperceiving what is in alignment with perfection, that God is all there is. It's missing the mark, right? So, conceited in our suffering, when we see separation from the I am, when we see separation from the perfection that is, of whatever is unfolding, and we create that resistance, we become conceited in our suffering. So our misperceptions of who we are and our limitations, sometimes we believe in those things, become conceited in it, justify it. And when someone tries to tell us different, we demand recognition of the truth of our victimhood. I'll tell you, it's funny when you look at it that way until you project it upon race. Then it ain't as funny, is it? It's really not. When you project it upon politics, it feels a little heavier, but it's still the same truth. We often get conceited in our suffering. So the invitation is, do not be conceited in your limitations, your misperceptions and skewed conditioned thinking that you are somehow unable to change, or that we collectively are somehow unable to change, or that they collectively are somehow unable to change. That's your own decision, and so shall it be, but it is not the truth of who you are. Yes, whether it's the you individually or collectively. Your birthright is more, not in a material sense alone, but in a spiritual and vibrational sense. No matter what occurs in your life, your birthright is more as an extension of, a child of the essence, a child of the creator of life itself. Life's motive is more. And as an extension of the I am, that is the essence of all life, your birthright is more. This is the message to share, that we are here for more. Anybody familiar with Switchfoot? Christian rock band? They got this amazing song. I'd play it, but I'll jack up my time. So it goes, we were meant to live for so much more, but we lost ourselves somewhere inside, somewhere inside. I love that song. We were meant to live for so much more, but we lost ourselves. What gets in the way is our thinking, our choosing to settle for less. This is the opposite of what our obstacles are designed for. They are the very weights to help us lift and build our will, our power, our spiritual muscles, the 12 powers of man. You have the will, the desire, the intention, the clarity, the commitment, focus, love, trust, enthusiasm, zeal. In unity, we're familiar with it this way: faith, wisdom, enthusiasm, power, imagination, understanding, love, order, life, strength, release, and will. Without obstacles, without challenges, without forgetting, we don't have the opportunity to experience our birthright of more. Now here's the kicker. The birthright of more is not just the overcoming. The birthright of more is the challenge as well. If everything is oneness and God is all there is, what's all this other stuff? The more. Right? So, as we claim that birthright, finding and discovering these powers to live a story of growth, expansion, and overcoming, we get to experience the more in contraction and the more in expansion. It's important to know that you choose this wonderful blueprint of your life, and you came in this very existence through the co-creation of Source itself as an extension or child of the I am. To have this experience as the living temple of God, of Source. Only you can decide to embody that or give it up. So you should decide to embody that, or let me rephrase that. Should you decide to embody that, you align with that source and allow it to give you the wisdom to see how to live in harmony, love, power, and fulfillment in this illusion. Otherwise, you resist that harmony. You resist what life brings and judge it as unworthy of your surrender to the Most High. You take on thoughts of limitation, conditioned thinking that things you are somehow no longer able to see, hear, and know the will of the I am, the source, and thus wander to and fro, listening, grasping here and there, hoping to be set free, when all the while that freedom is you. The freedom has always been you, for you have the power to seek and find, to knock, and the door shall be opened. What that looks like is your journey, not mine. And I'm just here to let you know it can be done. Many of you already know this because you're doing it. So this is just a reminder. Now you may find at times you don't want to open up to that great power, and that's okay. I've experienced it many times where I just rather suffer. You know, I'd rather be conceited in my suffering. And that's fine, because suffering has its place to teach us the hard way until we're ready to learn the higher way. It's not better in the sense of right or wrong, good or bad, to let go of suffering. Suffering is a noble teacher. It's just better in a sense of feeling the vibrations of surrender and expansion. It feels good. So the more specific purpose we have in our lives beyond aligning is to listen to that great knowing and to hear what is ours to do. Who are we to be in any given moment? When we surrender and open up to that and activate that soul's blueprint, it allows us to express in ways only we can. Allows us to sing a song of harmony in the universe. So, I want to ask you to do a simple thing with me. We're going to go right into a meditation. And I want to recognize that even when we choose alignment, even when we choose surrender, does that mean life unfolds the way we want it to? Obviously not. It means we get to choose the quality of the experience based on the quality of our thinking. It merely means we get to choose the presence we bring. And we choose the presence we bring, the quality of our thinking, and the vibration and frequency. And if we choose it from the highway, it brings harmony. If we choose it the hard way, it brings suffering, discord, resistance, judgment. So regardless of what we choose, the deeper part of you is aware of it all and knows all is well. It knows this is part of the role, the coding, the script that you are following, and that you get to decide when to wake up and choose differently. So I have a question for you. Is it time now? Yes. Is it time now? Yes. So if it's time for you to wake up and choose differently in this moment, when I ask that question, I want you to say yes. Is it time now? Yes. Excellent. For those who say yes to the invitation, we're going to take a breath together.